Good afternoon. It's Friday, the 6th of February. I'm Erin Viner. This is IBA News broadcasting from Jerusalem. We open with further fallout over the slated address to Congress by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu from Democrats. House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi has announced that while she is seriously considering attending the March 3rd speech, she still hopes that it will be canceled. The party's number 2 Senator, Dick Durbin of Illinois, seen as a close ally of President Barack Obama, said that he and his colleagues are very concerned about the address and that one of his closest friends, described as one of Israel's strongest supporters, views Netanyahu's invitation from House Speaker John Boehner that bypassed the White House as a terrible disaster for the Jewish state. While holding back from announcing her own decision, Senator Dianne Feinstein of California said that representatives are discussing a boycott of the Netanyahu address, although, according to Pelosi, that's not an option.
I'm seriously considering going. I mean, as I said, as of now, it is my intention to go. It's still my hope that the event will not take place. There's a serious unease, but don't even think in terms of the word boycott. Members will go or they won't go, as they usually go or don't go. And this is not anything. It was a surprise to me when I first came to Congress. It started to snow outside, and somebody said, "I'm going home." I was with these 2 senior members. They said, "I'm going home." I said, "Well, you'll never be back in time for the joint session." And they looked at me as if I were really a freshman. So in any event, again, with all the respect in the world for Prime Minister Netanyahu, we have welcomed him royally on 2 occasions to the Congress. Only Winston Churchill was welcomed 3 times, and one of them was during World War II. And my father was there as a member from Maryland, December 26, 1941. I have the picture in my office. So it isn't that there isn't a respect and admiration, even an affection for the Prime Minister, and certainly the strong ties to Israel. But at this time, I think it would be better if we didn't have it. And that is, I think I've said quite a bit on the subject.
As the Jordanian government attempts to attract broad popular support for its intensified airstrikes against ISIS, several thousand people, including Queen Rania, marched in Amman after Muslim prayers this afternoon. The participants unfurled a large Jordanian flag and held up banners in support of King Abdullah's pledge of a tough military response to the death of the captured Jordanian pilot. In another sign of solidarity, a Muslim cleric, considered as a jihadi preacher who has served as a spiritual mentor for many al-Qaeda militants, lashed out against the Islamic State, saying that the extremist actions are unacceptable to any religion, including Islam, a sentiment that was prevalent among today's marchers in Amman.
Very important as a Christian living with the Muslims brothers here in Jordan, just to announce and to emphasize that what's happening with the name of any religion, not only the Islam, is not the actual thing which we believe in.
The rally came as 35 Islamic State fighters were reportedly killed in airstrikes launched by dozens of Jordanian fighter jets targeting the extremist forces' training centers and weapons storage sites over the past 24 hours in intensified attacks after it became known that the extremists burned the nation's captured pilot to death. As part of the new campaign, Jordanian Foreign Minister Nasser Judeh announced that the strikes include locations in Iraq, in a departure from the kingdom's previous policy as part of the U.S.-led military coalition to only hit areas in Syria. State television has been airing footage of fighter jets taking off from an Air Force base with large balls of fire and smoke exploding after the dropping of bombs, as part of the vow from Jordanian King Abdullah to undertake even harsher measures against the Islamic State in the wake of intense anger in the country over the gruesome murder of the pilot Muath Kasasbeh. Prime Minister Netanyahu telephoned King Abdullah to extend his condolences, saying that all civilized people are shocked by the barbaric cruelty of the pilot's killing and that the world must combat this kind of evil. During the conversation, Netanyahu also noted the importance of the country's joint commitment to maintaining the status quo in the Temple Mount in Jerusalem's Old City, as well as Amman's decision earlier this week to return its ambassador to Israel, who was recalled in November. The telephone call marks the first time that the 2 leaders have spoken since their meeting in the Jordanian capital 2 months ago, along with U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, at the height of tensions surrounding Israeli measures to counter Palestinian violence at the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound. The Haredi community continued its week-long protests against induction into the IDF today, with hundreds of ultra-Orthodox gathering in Jerusalem this morning. The mob blocked traffic and threw objects at police called to disperse the demonstration against performing compulsory military service. Today's demonstration follows another last night when hundreds burned trash cans at Sabbath Square in the capital. They also threw rocks, eggs, and garbage at police and firefighters who were called to the scene to extinguish the blazes. A report released by the Regavim NGO is accusing the European Union of illegally funding unauthorized Palestinian building in areas under Israeli control. The document further alleges that the Netanyahu government hasn't removed the structures under construction near Ma'ale Adumim and the neighboring E1 area to avoid a diplomatic clash with Europeans, charging that the EU's support for the Palestinians has shifted in recent years from passive diplomatic and financial assistance to active cooperation in illegal building. Regavim insists that the Palestinian Authority has unilaterally been advancing the building since the year 2000 as part of its strategic plan to create a de facto Palestinian state while avoiding the need to negotiate with Israel. EU officials say that they are in the area only to provide humanitarian aid to Bedouin and are building caravans in place of the nomadic community's traditional tents. Regavim claims that the move is creating permanent villages with neither coordination nor the approval of the Israeli authorities, who do hold sovereignty over Area C, according to the Oslo Peace Accords. In the Gaza Strip, a humanitarian organization has stepped in to help fill the financial void left by the United Nations Relief and Works Agency when it suspended payments to tens of thousands of Palestinians for repairs to homes damaged during last summer's war because donor nations failed to honor their pledges of the project. The Catholic Relief Services Group is helping to build dozens of wooden homes as temporary accommodations for many who have lost their homes. Organizers say that they chose to build with wood because of a shortage of material such as cement, of which the amount transferred into the strip is limited by Israel out of security concerns. The latest help is seen as relatively minor. Only 41 homes have been built so far, with 31 others currently under construction, and the entire project is aimed at providing just 130 more homes. Elsewhere in Gaza, 10 armed Palestinian factions condemned Egypt's decision to brand the Hamas military wing Izzeddin al-Qassam brigades as a terrorist organization. A court in Cairo banned the group last week, in line with the crackdown by Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi on the Muslim Brotherhood, of which Hamas is an offshoot, and the following of 30 security personnel by Islamic State-linked insurgents in the Sinai. In a statement read out loud by the gunmen in Gaza, the 10 groups declared that their fight is only with Israel and that they've never taken that battle elsewhere. Thousands of Gazans also attended a mass rally rejecting the ruling in Rafah on the bordering with Egypt, where a Hamas spokesman said that Egyptian justices not only made a mistake, but committed a crime against Palestine. Meanwhile, in the Sinai, Egyptian sources say that the country's Air Force has carried out strikes over the past 24 hours that have killed at least 27 terrorists and wounded 13 others in the northern part of the peninsula. Turning to local politics, and the United Arab List has announced that it will not support any efforts by the Zionist Union faction to form a government after Election Day. This in response to the merger, when the merger between Isaac Herzog and Tzipi Livni expressed conditional support for banning member of Knesset Hanin Zawabi from running for office if Otzma Yehudit's Baruch Marzel is also barred. A petition has already been filed against Marzel, who is number 4 on the Yachad Ha'am Itanu list, and it was Marzel who submitted a petition on Wednesday to bar not only Zawabi, but the entire United Arab List of Chadash, Balad, Ram, and Tal. In his petition, Marzel pointed out that several candidates, and most prominently Zawabi, have been outspoken in support of terrorists such as Hamas in its efforts to destroy Israel, and the promotion of the armed struggle by the nation's enemies against the state, which excludes them from running for office according to the Basic Law. Political analyst Mitchell Barak spoke to IBA's R.A. O'Sullivan about how the major parties' campaigns are going in the week after they submitted their final lists of candidates running for the Knesset.
I think one of the problems that we're seeing in this campaign is a lot of the parties are using social media, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, to run a campaign. And the real campaigns are run and won, actually, by meeting people, by getting out on the streets, by going into people's homes, by going door to door, by parlor meetings, by going to high schools, town hall meetings, and we haven't seen enough of that yet. So we need to get off the social media, get face to face. I think we're going to see that.
Let's talk about the campaigns. Likud.
They've now changed their slogan 3 times. They started off, Netanyahu, as he's going to change the system. It was his first campaign. He's going to change the electoral system. Then it went to, in the moment of truth, you need someone with experience like Netanyahu. And now, this is the Prime Minister of the State of Israel. His campaign slogan, it's us or them. Well, what kind of slogan is that? Where's the positive message?
The Zionist camp.
It's an interesting campaign because they actually came out, Herzog, and said, we need to do this as a team and not a person. So he does show that he's teamwork. He does show that he's willing to, give up some of the power that he's trying to run for. But at the end, it's not clear who's doing what in this campaign. And I'm not sure whether it's looking more like 2 leaders or a 2-headed monster at this point.
Kachlon.
So Kachlon is actually, came into this campaign being very, very popular, but a lot of people think he's playing hide and seek, and he hasn't really started his campaign yet. It's not clear, his messages is social issues, poverty and other things, but he doesn't even seem excited by his own candidacy. And he doesn't, he's already stated that he's not running for prime minister. He's running for like an influential minister within the government. So a lot of Israelis look at that and they want leadership. And if you're already going to say that I'm not running for prime minister, even if it's unrealistic, you want to be running for prime minister because that's how people see you. They see you as a leader. And Kachlon hasn't done that yet.
Yesh Atid.
They're going positive. They're saying we're fighting for the country, we're fighting for the economy. They're talking about some of the achievements that they've done in the past year and a half. A lot of people say they haven't done any achievements. So argue about the achievements that you've done or not done instead of, insulting other people and being negative about other people. The other thing about Yesh Atid, which is very significant, is Yair Lapid every night is in a different place. He's in a different city, he's in a different auditorium, he's in a different home, and he's up there and he feels very, very comfortable as a campaigner. And I've yet to see that with any other party.
Bayit Yehudi.
Well, I think that the Bayit Yehudi is somewhat imploding after they, have announced on a number of occasions in a number of places that they will be leading the government of Israel, if not this election, the next one. I think that the arrogance that we've seen by the leader, Naftali Bennett, has somewhat backfired because for a few reasons. First of all, there were people on the list that are not so appealing to the general public, meaning they talk about being a party for everyone, but they're really a sectoral party within the religious and traditional Israelis, and even on the right of that.
What are the surprises of this election?
Well, I think one person to watch is Eli Yishai. Eli Yishai is actually bolted out of Shas, which is a very bold move, and he's put together a group of kind of hardcore right-wing religious people, and he may take votes away both from the Bayit Yehudi party and from Shas.
The English language social media manager for Habayit Yehudi leader Naftali Bennett and forum chairman of the party Jeremy Sultan spoke with IBA's Eli Wogelenter about the faction's efforts to reach out to the Anglo community.
Well, what makes us very different compared to the other parties is we've been involved with outreach with the Anglo community over the last 2 years. There is an English Facebook for Naftali Bennett. It has close to 50,000 likes. That's only in English. There's no other party leader that can say that. There's no other party that has that. We have our own inquiries section where you can send a petition in English, get an answer in English. No other person is going ahead and offering that type of thing. We've done a lot through the last 2 years. We have a great record when it comes to outreach with the Anglo community moving forward. Looking towards this election, I think...
What specific issues are you addressing?
We're addressing a lot of things. Electoral reform is one thing that we're going to be looking at. It's something that we've seen that's been in the headlines. People are talking about it.
Did it pass already?
No. Well, there was an electoral reform bill that passed beforehand, but that only dealt with dealing with the legislative branch and the executive branch of government. In the version that we passed over the last 2 years, we did not go into the judicial branch of the government, and that's something that we want to look at. It would be nice to get the Justice Ministry. I have a few, you can guess who we'd like to see there as the Justice Minister. And we've really just done a lot. Nisan Slomiansky, who's the Appropriations Committee chairman, he said that he's looking towards the idea of Sundays off, a free day, something that Anglos really like. This is something that we talked about also during the last 2 years. Naftali Bennett mentioned it a few times. So again, we are the true voice. And we all know that out of everybody, Naftali Bennett has pretty good English, so he's pretty good at talking to voters himself.
Executives and business people from all over the world participate in the Lahav project at Tel Aviv University's Rekanati School of Business, which encourages entrepreneurship. CEO Udi Aharoni spoke to IBA's Marko Dukevich about what makes his program so successful.
In recent years, we developed a special program for executives and for entrepreneurs from all around the world. We started it with 2011, especially in China. Since then, we have many delegations coming from China. In a matter of fact, each month, 1 or 2 delegations of either government officials that are coming here really to understand the full ecosystem of the Israeli entrepreneurship and innovation. We have programs for executives who are seeking for collaboration and investments in startup companies and in entrepreneurship, meaning how to develop innovation within their companies. And we also have a special accelerator for young entrepreneurs. We carry this program for entrepreneurs from South Korea and for Jewish young entrepreneurs from South America.
How did the whole idea of establishing such a project begin?
Well, we developed this idea because Israel has some uniqueness. I mean, we have thousands of business schools all around the world, mainly focusing on all kinds of business administration topics like strategy, marketing, and so forth. We are unique. We figured out a few years ago what is the proposition of the value proposition we can propose for executives from all around the world, so they can learn how to do financing and marketing in many, many places.
How long is the course?
Usually these are short-term courses. The innovation or entrepreneurship courses are between 1 week till 2 weeks, and accelerators are around 2 till 3 weeks' time.
And do they manage to travel around Israel? Does it also include showing them Israel?
Yes, this is part of the program because all these international either executives or entrepreneurs are really interested in the Jewish culture. So beside the studies within the program in the faculty, we also it takes them to many, many companies and startups to show them how it's done actually in the real world, and also they are very interested in the Jewish culture. So of course it involves to take them to Jerusalem, the Dead Sea, the north of Israel, to show them Tel Aviv, to show them that Israel, it's not what they see usually on their news, but it's totally different.
Turning now to sports, in another thrilling EuroLeague encounter, Maccabi Tel Aviv kept up its winning streak with a last-second three-pointer by Jeremy Pargo for a 97-94 overtime victory over Galatasaray in a hostile environment in Istanbul. The win is Maccabi's 5th in a row in Europe, boosting its record to 5-1 in its final 16 group, tying Tel Aviv with Real Madrid for first place. The Israelis appeared to be headed for defeat when they trailed by 10 points midway through the third quarter, but came back to take a 10-point lead with just over 3 minutes left in a game. In a contest that was back and forth all night, the Turks raced back to tie the score and send the game into the extra period, where Maccabi prevailed. Davin Smith led the team with 24 points.
Jeremy Pargo from downtown to break Galatasaray heart.
The prestigious Jerusalem International Book Fair is set to open at the beginning of next week, and for the first time it will be held at the Tachana First Station Entertainment Center in the capital. Workers have been busy assembling the stalls for publishers who are coming from all over the world. The fair features scores of cultural events, including meetings with leading authors, writing workshops, and performances, all of which will be free of charge to the public. The Jerusalem International Book Fair opens on Sunday from 6 to 10 p.m., operating Monday to Thursday from 10 in the morning to 10 at night. IBA's R.A. O'Sullivan discussed the popular event with its director, Yoel Makov.
This year the exhibition is a little bit smaller, but on the other hand, the cultural activity is more than double. We are using all the cultural institute around the train station, the first train station here in Jerusalem, the Mishkenot Shananim, the Cinematheque, the Khan Theater, and in each location we have about 10 different programs each day. We have really a lot of programs, meeting with authors, meeting with Israeli authors, dialogues about books, about cookbooks, about erotics, everything that people are writing about, we will try to talk about and to really give the people a chance to be part of it.
In local finance, the shekel today put in a mixed performance in foreign currency trading. And due to the closure of the stock market on Fridays, here's a look at the closing numbers for the week. The IBA weather team tells us that tomorrow we can expect a beautiful start to the day with warm and sunny conditions in the morning, which will change throughout the day and becoming cloudier and cooler with the chance of haze and the possibility of rain mainly in the north. Here's the forecast at home and abroad over the next 24 hours. Thanks for being with us this afternoon. I'll be back tomorrow with the latest breaking news from Israel. I'm Erin Viner, wishing you a wonderful evening and Shabbat Shalom from Jerusalem.